Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our INT-KNX-2 programmation webinar. I'm happy to see you all guys in here. Today I will present you our new, maybe not new, but our module INT-KNX-2 that is helping you with the all integration between our INTEGRA panel family with integration with KNX standard. With me, there is Jacek Berkowski, who will take care of chat, and as always, he will help you with any other questions. So if something came up in the middle of the webinar, please go ahead and write it down, send him this information, and he will try to answer you. Of course, it will be the best if you ask the questions regarding our webinar, but if not, no worries, you can ask him nevertheless. Of course, if the question will be harder, then we will ask you to create a ticket on info.satel.pl that you can always go there and ask us a question in there. So for today, we have around 1 hour webinar. There is a very short presentation just for me to show you the few information about our INT-KNX module, and then we go straight to DLOADX and ETS software to be able to program it, and we will make a few samples what you can do with it. Okay. Also, at the right bottom corner, you have a hand icon that you can always use if something is wrong, you don't hear me, or we lost communication, or you don't see what I'm talking about. You can always use it. Also, I think in the default is in the right top corner, you have my face. Of course, you can move this window around because we will be going to DLOADX and ETS. If this window will cover parts of the software that I'm talking about, you can always move it. I think the right bottom corner will be always the best for you guys. There is nothing there happening, so it should be fine. Okay, so if we can start, yeah, most of the guys, I think they are here, so let's kick in. Alrighty. So INT-KNX-2. This is our module to INTEGRA family, so INTEGRA and INTEGRA Plus, for you to be able to integrate security system with all the KNX standard, as we talked yesterday, so with any other system in the building that supporting KNX standard. And this gives you many interesting features because from the house point of view, the security system his main responsibility is to give you information. For example, if someone is inside the building or even the room, but also give you information about if the windows are all closed, if there is no leakage and other stuff that you can use, and then use it in the smart home in general. So the security system information from the security system give you many interesting information for your smart home solution. In this case, KNX, of course. So if in general you can or double the information, so put 2 contacts on the door, one from the security and one from the KNX, of course you can do it. But I think the cost wise and installation wise, it will be better if you just put one small device as the integrator between the systems and then have a full functionality from the security system. But also this, it's not one-way communication, it's other-way communication also, so two-way communication. You can easily arm, disarm, block, do many interesting things from the side of a KNX and control security system. So you can press one button scenario that you want to go to in the middle of the night to, I don't know, go to garden. You press one button, lights turn on the in the garden, but also security system turn off parts of the system just to allow you to go there without any kind of alarms, etc., etc. So you can always create these types of scenarios also. So this, in general, benefits in the increasing the possibilities of the both system, KNX and the security system, by combining the communication. There's also, of course, the installation. It's a reduction of installation cost, because first of all, you don't need to put 2 types of detector on one window. You have information about for the security system, but also for a smart home, or for example, for heating. This is one thing. And the second thing, because of INTEGRA possibilities and modules that supports INTEGRA for example, INT-ORS, so 230 volts, 16 ampere relays, you can use this information to control this part of the system that doesn't require all the fancy controlling the lights, dimming, etc., etc. You can do the simple things. I would say even more advanced, but let's say simple things comparing to KNX, and do it inside INTEGRA panel without ever need to go to KNX. So this will decrease the cost of the installation. And of course, implementation of our advanced scenarios, of course, we talk about it, so Garden and all the stuff that you can use it with. INTEGRA can be controlled by 2 ways. So first of all, you have keypad. If you are thinking about a smart home, I will advise you to use keypads like INT-TSI, INT-TSG, TSH. So the big LCD screen, very nice looking. With the TSI, you have full customization, what is on in there. But also you can use mobile application for it. So you can use INTEGRA control and have all the functionality of the macros in there, and also the camera view and all the interesting stuff that we will be talking in the next few moments. So what is the INT-TSI? I think you already know what it is as the keypad. This is 7-inch display and capacitive touch screen. So the use of this screen is almost exactly the same as you use on your phone. So it's quite easy. It's you don't need to use a force to start some option or start some functionality in there. It works very, very nice, almost the same as your phone. Quite easy configuration because you are doing it in the TSI Builder, specially designed application for it. And there is a lot of possibilities in there. Of course, one of the possibilities is to implement IP camera view, live view from the camera. Of course, this could be NVR, doesn't matter the source. Most important is RTSP or HTTP H.264. So it should be fine to put this information on the screen. Of course, there's many other things, like every user could have their own screen, their own buttons and information that is happening on this keypad. And of course, quite important part is this: in the TSI, you can use a macros. This is quite important because by this, you are able to create scenarios. You are able to trigger many outputs. You can send many different telegrams to the KNX system, for example, and then wait some time and then send again something additional. There is a lot of possibilities in the TSI about communication and about to control the system, what not only security system, but also KNX devices, KNX actuators in the KNX system. And soon, I hope it will be in the next few days, but of course it will take a few weeks at least. IP video intercom support that we will right now, it's in the beta test. If you want to join us and help us to work and speed up the beta test, you can always go to our info.satel.pl and ask for participation in the beta test, and we will send you all the information about how to join us. But of course, for this you will need INT-TSI for sure. About INTEGRA control, this is our the new look of INTEGRA control. Give you a possibility to even easier to control the your system as the security, but also by the macro functionality, the same as almost the same as in INT-TSI. You are able to do scenarios. You are able to create many comments sent by just pressing one button on your telephone. So again, this will give you a quite powerful tool for your end user. Of course, we support iOS and Android. They both look right now the same, and with the most of the functionalities are exactly the same. In addition, we can send a push notification for your user phone about the status of the system, so they know about the information about the status of the alarm system. So if there is alarm, if the system is armed, or for example, when the system is disarmed and by who. For example, you know when your kids come back to home because they need to disarm the system, etc., etc. So there is again quite powerful tool right now. And to be honest, right now we are going in the direction that many users right now prefer to use a mobile application and have self-monitoring, you can say that. So you receive all the information on your phone that you have always close to you and not use, for example, monitoring station, at least in the houses. This is a trend that we saw for the last few years. And of course, you can use a live IP camera view on the screen. And also, if you do it, you can set macros and controlling the outputs in there to be able to, when something happens, you go to your camera view, you see what is happening on the side, you can press, for example, button to open and close gate, etc., etc. So you're able to control one screen on your telephone. This gives you quite a nifty little tool to control the system remotely. Of course, INTEGRA control give you many possibilities like arming, disarming, viewing event from the security system. Again, IP camera view. Of course, it's not need to be camera. This could be NVR if it supports RTSP by H.264. You are able to check the state of the system and the individual device. You have full control, remote key. But in addition, if you are using in your system INTEGRA panel, you are using ABAX system with the ABAX2, especially with temperature information. You have all information about the temperature from almost every single detector on site. So you can use this information to control, for example, thermostat in your INTEGRA Plus, and you can use this information later on to control, for example, heating in the building. So there is, again, a lot of nice, nifty tools inside INTEGRA Control. Of course, INTEGRA Control gives you a possibility to control heating, lighting, ventilation, depending what and how you connect your outputs to your macros in the INTEGRA Control, or how you set commands from the INTEGRA Control as the macros to the KNX system. So by pressing one button in the INTEGRA Control, you can send, for example, Telegram to start heating or change the dimming value or whatever you want, really. There's almost no limits in there. But this all this functionality is, at least with the integration with the KNX, is because of one small device, is INT-KNX-2. So about little bit about more about this small device. So first of all, in the bottom you have KNX connector. In here you connect KNX bus. On the top you have deep switches. This first 5, as I think you already know, the first 5 is the address on the expander bus, but 6, 7, and 8 deep switch taking care about how many outputs are assigned to object inside the module. We will talk about it a little later on about the objects and of course about assigning. But please remember that this is the deep switch 6, 7, and 8. On the right corner, we have RS-485 terminals. This is something that looks far in the future. Right now, we are using it only for the updates, but in the near future, we will be using it with the communication with panels and other functionalities. Of course, this module is one of the parts of the security system, so it has TMP terminal as the sabotage information. So if you want to connect this to panel or use this information as the sabotage of INT-KNX-2 device, you can use it. If not, you need to shorten it to the COM. And this is whole device. There was on the right bottom corner, there's also a program button. Please remember, right now we are not using it, but later on when we will be using it with, when we implementing INT-KNX into ETS, this button will be, you will need to use. For now, please don't use it. There is a small LED prog on the bottom of it. It should be turned off as the default, so for now you don't need to use. All right, so let's go to practical demo of DLOADX. Inside DLOADX, so I will close this one. So on top in here we have panel prepare for the webinar. So we have INTEGRA 64 Plus with the DLOADX. Below we have ETS5 with the project open for this webinar. So we have in here already prepared group addresses for us for the easier configuration. So we have information about the lighting, and then below we have on-off. We have some kind of dimmers, relatively, dimming, absolutely, and status. On-off, this is just a simple 1-0 telegram, so turn on, turn off. Dimming relatively, it means that this is the bigger telegram because it gives you information about increase dimming, so brighten the bulb or decrease it, but also how much by one step. So you can increase it by 6%, go 60%, 6%, etc., etc. Dimming, absolutely, it means that you send just a value. I want to have 50% of the brightness, or I want to 75%, etc. And then status, about the status information. About what the status of this device is. Just a feedback if you want to use this information. Okay, in the DLOADX, we already added our module. So we go to hardware, we go to expander bus, INT-KNX-2. So right now you will see the name of it in DLOADX, physical address. In the KNX, we are using two types of addresses. One is physical address, and second is group address. Physical address is the physical address of the device. It needs to be unique inside KNX system. So if we know that our modules in the system, for example, have 111 or 112, then we know that if we choose 11254, there is no device in there on this address. So we know that this module have unique physical address. Of course, there is a KNX communication delay after reset. Is if you lost power supply and then it's restored. If we didn't have this type of delay, if every device starts sending at the same moment when they receive power supply information about what their status or controlling what they need to do, then the KNX bus will be there will be big traffic in there. So you can set that first of all need to send lights information about the status, then something else, sprinklers, etc., etc., and then after 10 seconds it's okay and you can start the normally working system. This is something to not to make big traffic at the same time, to spread it out. Of course, we supported old type of addressing, so two-level address. Right now, the standard and most installation is done by 3-level addresses. So group address looks like in the ETS like this, so 0/0/1, etc., etc. So you have a possibility to use both types of addresses. So, but we in general right now using a 3-level address as the standard for the KNX in most cases. Okay, and right now a little more about the middle of the screen. So you have information about your objects inside INT-KNX-2. For you, there is in every one INT-KNX-2 there is up to 64 objects. Objects is the part of the communication with KNX. So this object could be output, could be zone, or could be virtual macro. And you can assign output, zone, or macro to be able to use this object to send some kind of telegram or to receive telegram from KNX. In the main part is that if you are using output from the INTEGRA panel, it means that you want to send information from INTEGRA somewhere else. So you have, for example, you want to control siren. So you do something in the panel, INTEGRA panel, and send this information to external device like sounder, like a gate to open the gate, etc., etc. This is how you use. So if you want to send information to KNX, you are using output. If you want to receive information from the KNX, you are using zone. So you can taking the same as you can trade information from the KNX as you are using detectors in the system. They gather information from the room and send it to the panel. So this is an input or zone in this case. And virtual macro is also, you can treat it as the output because you are using macros inside INTEGRA control or keypad like INT-TSI to be able to control something in the KNX. But we make it separate because you will see later on that you can do many different things. You can combine many macros to one object macro, and this will give you a possibility. Of course, if you are using INT-KNX-2 and 64 object is not enough for you, then you can use many INT-KNX inside the system. It depends, to be honest, on you. Of course, the limit is that you are using INTEGRA panel, bigger INTEGRA panel. For example, we have INTEGRA 64+. So if I wanted to use this information, for example, for the outputs, as you see, it's already assigned the first 3 outputs, first 8 free outputs. It's already assigned to INT-KNX. So I can use up to 48 objects assigned to outputs because 16 is on board. So you have 48 left and you can use them in the KNX. So if you want to use more information, you send more information from the INTEGRA panel to KNX, then you will need to use a bigger INTEGRA panel, for example. But of course, you can do that. You can use only 8 outputs and the rest you use as a zone information inside the INTEGRA panel. So you can have a lot of space to put information from the KNX to INTEGRA panel. But in general, don't be afraid. 64 objects for INT-KNX is quite a lot of information. You will need to have really big object because you don't send just information about the one detector, for example, from the window to KNX, because you're trying to combine them. Why? Because it's easier. First of all, is you don't need to use that many objects. And second of all, if you have line of windows in the room, like 5, 6, 10 windows in the room, and you control hitting inside this room, for example, hitting inside this room from the KNX, it doesn't matter which one of the windows are open, heating should be turned off or air conditioning should be off when the window is open. So in this case, whichever the zone is triggered in the system, so window is open, you send just one telegram. One of these windows in this room is open, so then turn off the heating or turn off the air conditioning, etc., etc. So you can work with it. So to be honest, in many cases, you won't exceed 64 objects. But of course, if you have really big size, building, or you creating some kind of information about the some kind of you need very detailed information from the INTEGRA panel, yeah, go ahead, you can use more INT-KNX. Okay, we were talking about assigning outputs. So you remember the deep switch 6, 7, and 8 that I was talking before? By this deep switches, you assign how many outputs you want to assign to this module. So in the INTEGRA panel, after identification, this module will receive and will receive information from this output. So you can set that. For example, I want to use 32 outputs, so I need to set deep switch, I think 6 and 8 up, just to as the information. So every one value higher, so 6 is 1, 7, 2, and 8, 3. Every value higher, so you can increase it, then you have additional 8 assigned to this module. This doesn't. This is only about outputs. Zones, you can assign them as you like. You can spread them around all your zones, but outputs you need to assign. Okay, in this case we have 8 outputs assigned to INT-KNX. So let's start the programmation of it. So first of all, I want to choose that INTEGRA output. I want to use an output information. So I want to control something. So I need to know what I'm controlling. This information I should have from the ETS5. So in here, I want to control lights in the living room. So I want to first of all turn on, turn off them. Quite simple. So in this case, this is on/off. Information is on address 0/0/1. Okay, so we put in here, and we add it in here. So right now, in this configuration, if the output is turned on, we will send a telegram 1 to KNX bus. And the default configuration in here is quite easy and simple. We have just a information about the status of the output. A little bit more about the flags. This is the KNX flags, and as you see in here, we have CRWTU, the same here, the same part is here. And this information is as the default for output zones and macros are set properly. I don't want to go too much into depth of the information in here, but in general, these flags, you can leave them as they are. Maybe if you want some additional functionality, then you can change them depending how you want to control ATS or have the additional functionality. But in general, you can leave them as the default, it will be fine. Then you have priority. Again, from the KNX point of view, you can use different type of priority, but also data type. And this is a part that you need to describe depending what type of telegram the module or actuator is waiting on this group. In this case, we have switch on/off. So we have 0 and 1. This is 1-bit information. So this is, as you see, switch 1, 0, 1, so or 1, 0. So this is simple 1-bit information. But we can expand this information if you want to control from this output, for example, dimming, or you want to set some kind of value, or you want to send even a text information from there. You can do it from this output. But for this case, so we want to turn on, turn off the lights, we are using just a switch one. Then we can assign what type of information we want to send on out when the output is turned on or when the output is sent off. In general, if you are using it as a default, is fine. So if the output is on, then send 1, what it means on, and then off when it's 0, etc. but in general, you can take it around. So this is a negation of it, etc., etc. So you can use this information as you like inside the system. But default settings are fine with us for now. And then cyclical transmission period. If you want to have cyclical, what it means, this will send information, the same information about the status of the module every 10 seconds. So if the output is turned on, it will send every 10 seconds that this telegram, it will send telegram that this output is on. After 10 seconds, this telegram on, etc., etc. You want to force some kind of information from this part. Okay, and to be honest, this is it about the configuration of the output. So if we are here, we save this information to a module. Please remember that this module should have its own memory. So we don't save it in the panel. We save it in here on the bottom in the module. So we can go right now into diagnostic. I hope I will be able to show you this. We already have opened it. Okay. Let's do it like this and start what is happening. And then I will try to trigger output 17. Give me 1 second. I go to, or maybe I will do it from the keypad that you will also see it. This keypad, of course, this is keypad inside the virtual keypad in DLOADX. I use administrator for it. Go to output control and go to, it was 17. It was living lights living room. So I can turn it off because it was on. So I have information telegram. Again, another telegram if I turn it on. Right now, if I change the status, this telegrams will show up on the KNX and, for example, control the lights. Quite simple. How to read the telegrams? So first of all, in the ETS, you have information. We are using diagnostic, so group monitor. So we have information what telegrams showed up on the KNX bus. And let's take the last one. So we have information about the time when this telegram showed up on the bus, from where, so from the bus, low priority, source, source address, this is 254, so it means this is my INT-KNX-2 module. Source name, there is no name because we didn't add it to the ETS project. Destination 001, so we know that this telegram want to control group 1001. Name of the group, of course, and then we have information what value was sent. So in here, in info exactly, we have 00, it means off, 01, it means on. So we have information that INT-KNX-2 sent information about status of our output. Quite simple. Okay, so next step, if we can send some kind of information from the module, we can send it to KNX. But of course, if you want to control in the living room, I'm using a B switch, but type of output. But this could be something else. For example, if you want to have a status of the system inside the KNX, for example, to turn on some kind of echo mode or changing the value of the heating, or you want to turn on all the lights in the building because system is armed, you don't need to, there's nobody inside, so turn off all the lights. You can, for example, use arm status, and then you have information about the status of the alarm or partition, etc., etc. So you can use many different types of outputs to be able to control it and send this information to KNX. In our case, we are using B switch or mono switch to control, to be able to control this output from mobile application, INTEGRA control, or from the TSI. Okay, so if we know how to send information to KNX and give, for example, status of the zone, of the status of the system, It will be good if we know the information about that we, for example, want to ARM system, or we want to put information from the KNX to INTEGRA panel. So we can use some kind of object. Of course, we would use object that is not assigned to output, because if we assign zone to this output 18, we won't be able to use it. That's why we will use object 9. So we assigned it as the zone. And we want to receive some kind of telegram on address, let's say, I don't know, maybe 10. 0/0/10. And right now, as you see, the flags is set already properly. So we will be able to receive this information. Data type, we stay with the switch, because in the zones have only two status in here. So it's violated or not. So 0 and 1. So it's on, off. Quite simple. So we use switch, and then we can assign which zone we want to use. Because it's INTEGRA 64, let's go to zone 64. I will first check if I didn't program anything else in there. No, it's not used, so we'll come back to this in a few moments. And then we want to type of reaction. So if the telegram goes with 1 for this 0010 group, then we have violation of the zone. But I can choose what type of information I want, what reaction I want to have, or violation, or restore, so go back to normal status, or impulse. This is something that we implemented because in many cases KNX works on the 0 and 1, so on the status. And if you send 1, it will stay in the status. In INTEGRA panel, in general, in the security system, sometimes is more used impulse, like for example PIR. If it see a movement, then there is an impulse. If the status stay like this, there is no alarm again from this place, for example. That's why we put an impulse to that you don't need to use additional 0 after it. So we will use violation and, of course, reaction to 0, restore. So going back to default. And then we have reaction, how the zone should react if the bus restart is the bus off or the power on, or the power is done. So we just leave it like this. We write it down to module as the information. Then we need to configure somehow to react for this detector. As you see, it's already in here, inputs of zone 64, but I would like to use, we can ARM disarm by this. So ARM KNX, ARM not disarm, just ARM, okay? So we want to use ARM. In this case, we need to use some kind of wiring type. It doesn't matter which one you choose, but no, please don't use not used. Use, for example, NC. It doesn't matter, but not used. And then how the zone should react. For me, I want to have ARM status. And zone 1, fine with me, so I don't need to put anything else in here. Write it to panel. If I open a zone state, I will see this status of the zone. And if I a little bit spread it out to 64, yes, I will have information about status of the zone 64. Just give me 1 second. I will just turn off this one because it's a detector that gives me violation all the time, so I don't want to have this. So we have zone 64. So if right now I send on the bus on group address 0010, I will send a telegram from the ETS. I will spread it out a little bit with value on, because I want to send that we want to turn on this zone and put it in there. You see violation of the of the zone, but also you will see on the keypad that we have exit time. So we already armed the system. This is how you can control system, INTEGRA system from the KNX by using INT-KNX-2. Of course, you can use different types of information. You can use arm, disarm. You can use, to be honest, anything that you like to control zone, to I don't know, create a panic alarms, whatever you want. I just turned off. I disarmed the system. Yeah. And as you see, because we are using a violation, then I need to send telegram off to turn off the zone. Quite simple. Yeah. And this is how you control INTEGRA panel from a KNX. This is a quite simple explanation for it. Okay. Let's go with the further. So right now we know how to send information from INTEGRA panel to KNX to control something. For example, giving you a status of the door, windows, PIR, room occupancy, or any kind of alarm like fire alarm, like flood detection, etc., etc. Right? We know how to receive information from KNX to INTEGRA panel to be able to arm, disarm system, change the status, do anything inside INTEGRA panel, for example, control some kind of outputs in INTEGRA, or for example, to open garage door that is connected to INTEGRA panel, etc. But also, right now, we can also do and use macros to send some kind of telegrams to KNX, for example, to control remotely lights in the building, or to control heating before you go to the building. Like, for example, if it's your vacation house or holiday house, you can, before you drive there for the next hour, you can, from INTEGRA control, you can use a macro to turn on the heating there. Then when you come there, temperature will be nice and cozy. So you can always do something like this. And let's try to explain this and configure it. So in this case, we will use next object. Again, we won't use our output object because we will take output space. So we go to object 10. Let's use our object type virtual macro, and let's send to 00001. Again, we will try to control the lights remotely. So macro object 10.001, and we want to send, flags are set properly, data is fine, and right now we have name of the object. I want to KNX light, and it will be a little easier for us to understand the name, and we can set already value. If we set a telegram, if you set a macro without values in there, you will send this value. But if you send some kind of value in there, it will be overwriting this information. So in this case, we are using one object to send many different telegrams. So, so we write this down to module. And inside ETHM, in this case, because we want to use INTEGRA control, in macro commands, in definition, we will create new macro. This will be KNX light. And we'll do something. Right. We can even choose a different icon for it because we want to control the lights. So we will use this one. Of course, code is not required for this. And we use a commands. So first of all, we need to choose commands KNX Telegram version 2. So it's for our INT-KNX-2. And then we choose what module we want to, from what module we want to send this telegram. Because if you have more of them, you can choose which one should use it. And then we choose macro command. In this case, we have just one macro KNX slice on the object 10, so it's quite easy. And then we have data type switch because it's set like this. And then we can set the value. For example, I want to send information that to turn it on. I send value 1. And this is the first KNX command. I will also create on in here, but I also will create in here KNX light without space off. Missing. I can use, of course, second line for it. Let's use something like this. Okay. And then I can send a telegram, but with the value 0 because I want to turn it off. And then add it to the groups. On and off. Maybe I will change the icon. In this case, and put icon with the lights bulb on. And I will name them in the group something like this and make a proper icon to finish this part. Okay, so right now I created 2 macros to 1 object to be able to control lights in the building, exactly on the group 001, what is living room. Then I'll just need to download this information from ETH gem to my INTEGRA control, and then I will be able to use it inside the system. Quite easy, I think. I hope you understand the idea. Of course, I don't need to use the simple one information like switch on off. I can use anything else in the macros. I can use, for example, dimming control, and then I can set that I want to decrease or increase the value of the of this object by 6%. So it will make the brighter every single time when I press a button. It will increase dimming by, I don't know, let's say 12%. So it will increase the brightness of the light, etc., etc. And again, if you go then to INTEGRA panel, I will write it down here. If you go to INTEGRA control, and if you go in here, you have dimming control, and you see the value is different. So again, you use one object to control increasing and decreasing dimming value. So you don't need to create use 2 objects in the INT-KNX-2 to control to control one object for decreasing and one for increasing. You just use a 1 for it. But of course, you properly assign later on inside in here. So you have in the macros. Okay, I hope this is quite clear and quite easy for you guys. So I won't be downloading it for the INTEGRA control, this information, because it will take time and we don't have too much time anymore. We will go a little further with this about the possibilities. And again, I will use some kind of output in this case. And let's use output 18, live bedroom, and let's send some kind of telegram, a little bit more advanced, let's say for group address 5, because I want to use this group address. And for example, I want to use a character string, so I can send even text by the KNX bus about the status of this output. So let's say character string, I will use ISO, and then when the output is on, I want to put some kind of information. Let's say that we want to have information on the KNX screen that will receive on the group address 005, receive this information about to put this anything that it's whatever the telegram comes there with some kind of text, it will be put on the screen of some kind of device on the wall for the end user. So for example, we want to have information about the status of the windows. It's like all windows flow too big. Let's say windows closed. Okay. 1 second. I'm just thinking about if I do it properly. No. Yeah, it's okay. And then Windows open. So you can use this type of information on the Telegram, on the group 005 as the Telegram. So if right now, if I write this information to INT-KNX-2 module, and I trigger output, in this case 18, please don't look at the name because this is just for you to, as the information like bedroom, like in bedroom, I will turn it on. You will see that the Telegram in here showed up for the group 005 with some kind of information here. Let's open it. I want by this, sorry. Oh, yeah, like this. So the Telegram looks like this. It was sent from the device with the address 11254. So this is INT-KNX-2 on group address 005. And then you have all the string in here, what was sent, but it means Windows closed. So if I turn it off, then I have information Windows open. I think it should be open it or open Windows or something like this. Please don't look at my English in here. Let's focus more on the what type of Telegram we received. You should put your own name in here. So you can use this information on the screen of the KNX sent from INTEGRA by INT-KNX-2. Of course, right now we control this by using a keypad, so we're controlling it. But of course, if we want to use not B switch, but for example, ready status, so it will tell us about the status of the zone. Yeah, we can use this one and have not be able to control it from the keypad, but we will receive status of the zone. Quite simple. Okay. Yeah, I think we are almost at the end. Of course, read-write buttons in here, reset to clean all the configuration in the INT-KNX-2 module. There is also possibility to set that if there is a trouble on the KNX bus, like disconnect KNX bus, you will receive a trouble on the screen of your keypads inside the system. And of course, no auto reset after free module tamper alarms, etc. The same as the default settings for the panel. Alrighty, guys. This is something that I want to give you as the information about the INT-KNX-2 and the possibilities of the configuration. As you see, you can almost use any kind of information from INTEGRA panel and send it to the KNX, but also you are able to receive almost any kind of telegram or information from the KNX and send it to INTEGRA panel. So there is a lot of possibilities in the integration between the system and giving for you the most advanced solution for your end user by using integration between the different types of the system. This is quite interesting and quite powerful tool if you want to use it, because this could open a window for you to be able to install INTEGRA panel on buildings where the KNX is there, but also goes other way. So you can right now with our KNX modules also, you can give a proposition for more advanced control in the building wherever you install INTEGRA panel. So this gives you a quite nice possibility for both sides. Okay, guys, so let's go for the questions. I will check if you have some interesting questions. So let's go there. Yes, right. Today we were talking about INT-KNX-2 because it's on market at least 5 or 6 years already. So yeah, but almost the same functionality you will find in the INT-KNX. The difference is the big one is INT-KNX require additional BTM module between module INT-KNX and KNX to convert the bus. INT-KNX-2, it has already on board, so it's easier, give you a little more possibilities and for the installation also. But yes, you can almost the same idea you can use in the INT-KNX-1. Okay, how many outputs we can use with INT-KNX module for each INTEGRA panel module? So you need to use some kind of free outputs. So INTEGRA 64 has 64 outputs, but 16 outputs is already on board. You can't use them, so you're left with 48. Of course, if you are thinking about INTEGRA 128, you have 16 on board. So you have 112 free outputs. So you can use one INT-KNX fully on the outputs and 148, etc., etc. The same goes for INTEGRA 32, for example. 32 have 32. Sorry, 32 have 32 outputs, 8 on boards. So you left 24 outputs you can use, etc., etc. Okay. So on INTEGRA 128, we can use 2 in. No, not one. Yes, to have 128 objects. Yes, this is proper. How you address INT-KNX to work from object to one? Not exactly. You have INT-KNX-2. The first INT-KNX-2 on expander bus will take first 364 objects, and second one, again, the counting is again from 1 to 64. There is no 65 to 128. It will just, you need to treat the object separately, not together, separately. So first module from 1 to 64, second module from 1 to 64. Together, this will give you 128. And of course, assigned to output is that after, if you do identification of the expanders, first INT-KNX on the bus, so with the lowest address, will take the first outputs. And the second will take second outputs. Quite simple. How long will the impulse of the zone will be zone B? Can it be programmed? No, it can be programmed. It will take, I think, 2 seconds or something like this. And this then come back to status normal. This is to be able to send to, how to say it, simulate how the PIR works, because in many cases you will receive only from INTEGRA, from KNX. You will, when you are using, for example, PIR from KNX, when they see a movement, they will send 1. They will never send 0. So then you can use an impulse to give additional 0 at the end. Alrighty, next one. Can you use the status of the light when controlling the macro or status of the dimming value? Can you see the status of the light when you're controlling the macro? Not from INTEGRA control. In general, you have status. No, also you have in INTEGRA control you have status of the output, but you don't have the status of KNX in general. You can send the status back from the KNX back to the panel, and then you will have information. It's quite tricky because you're controlling output from the macro, and the macro then will send information to turn on, turn off the output. to turn on lights. And then from the KNX side, you use a status, the same as we have in the ETS. We have a special group status, and send a feedback about the status of this light back to the zone of the INTEGRA panel. And then you change from the zone to output, and output you will see on the screen of your phone as the status of the light. I know this sounds a little bit tricky, but yes, you can do this. And then you can receive information about only a switch status, so 0 and 1. You can't use a dimming for it because you won't be able to receive like 50% inside INTEGRA panel. It works only as 0, 1 general. So there is a way to do it, a little bit around, but yeah, it works. Hi, do you store recording from the session on your web? I could join earlier and wanted to see the content where I can find it. Okay, guys, if you are, you can always go to our website. I will give you a link in a few seconds. Just give me one moment. You good. You can always go to our website. I will show you this website. Give me 1 second. Yeah, if you see our website, so satel.eu or .pl, in top you have support. You need to log in. If you are logged in, there is on the left side, give 1 second. My password is wrong. Yes, I'm there. Okay, so if you go there, you have webinars recordings, and few days later in here will show up all the information, but please remember that you need to log in. And right now we have TSI, and it normally takes 1 to 2 days later on to have this information in here. Okay, let's go back to our, so maybe I will do one more thing. Give me 1 second. I will just put it in here. Let's see, in here, and this. So on top of our chat window, you have information about the website, and then you can go there and see our webinars if you want to catch up on the information. Okay, and the last question in here. The text you show as before, Windows open close, can be displayed on INT-TSI or where else it can be displayed. This information was sent to KNX, not to INTEGRA panel, because it was already in INTEGRA panel, so you can use this to show it on the screen by the icon of the TSI or anywhere else. Like, yeah, mostly icons, because we try to use icons inside INTEGRA panel, at least in the TSI, but of course you can use it, create an icon that will have a text inside, and you have then text. But this was the possibility to send this information, this text, to some kind of KNX screen. There is many different companies that create their own screens or controllers for KNX, and then you can display this information there. So it's more like how this functionality is from INTEGRA panel ascended to KNX than to show it on the INT-TSI, because you already have this information on the inside the INTEGRA, so you don't need to use the Telegram for it. And of course, if you want to use it, you can show it on the TSI by using a different icon. For example, indicator button you can use for it, and use for it to show this type of text, and you don't need to send Telegram for it. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your time again. I hope it was interesting for you. I hope that this 1 hour spent with us was helpful in any way. For sure, there will be more webinars in the near future because of the situation that we are living in today world. So thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you soon on the next webinar. Yeah, and thank you, Jacek, again for help. This was most appreciated because I saw many questions for you guys. So of course, if you have any more questions, please go to info.satel.pl and put a ticket in there. We will be happy to answer you this. And yeah, again, thank you very much for your time and stay safe. Cheers.